One of my favorite quotes is from the Zen Shin, and it states, "A flower does not worry about competing with a flower next to it. It just blooms." I was born as a firstborn to a firstborn of a firstborn. To you who are firstborns, you can relate with the fact that you are not only a secondary parent to your siblings, but also you are a role model to your siblings. Being in this situation, I knew that I had to be perfect in order to be a role model to them. And being perfect meant that I had to put on various masks in order to look perfect and never to show any flaw. I had to be a people pleaser. Like a car starting its journey from a parking lot, you start at zero and continuously catch momentum. That was my people pleasing journey. And I started from zero, immediately at birth, where I was born as the heaviest child at 4.25 kilograms. You can imagine, the doctors were pleased. I became so good at it that parents would often tell their children, "Why can't you be like Kimani?" Being an adolescent in this phase, it now meant that I wanted to please my peers, and mostly the girls. I realized that people pleasing was the only way that I knew how to be loved. But as the old adage goes, only principles last. And for me, this people pleasing was not a principle, and it will eventually crumble. And it did. It crumbled as I joined my 20s. As a 20-year-old, I disliked church. Not because I did not believe in God, because I did. I disliked church because above there being so many religions with the same golden rule, and there being so many denominations in one religion, I still didn't understand why we had to have all of this. However, this was the woke reason. The real reason why I did not like church was that it wasn't hype. It wasn't lit. That and the fact that I dreaded the questions that the pastor always asked. Ask your neighbor this. Tell your neighbor this. However, being in my mother's house, I had to attend church, whether I liked it or not. On this particular Sunday, I went to church as usual. Went to church, sat at the back, and braced myself for another 2 hours. This was not to be an ordinary Sunday. On this Sunday, this girl sat next to me. She was no ordinary girl, or so I thought. She had been around church, and I had seen her walk around and move around, and I had a crush on her. She was beautiful, but I did not have any intentions of pursuing her, as I thought that she was out of my league. On this particular Sunday, though, she had sat next to me, and as I looked at her, I saw why I had a crush on her. Her face was so smooth. It's as if she had been showering in that milk and honey that the Israelites had been promised in Canaan. Her eyes, almond-shaped, exposing her enigmatic personality, and a smile ear to ear, exposing her beautiful snow-white teeth. And I dreaded it. I dreaded it because it made my mind just go blank. And today, other than all those other days, I was looking forward to those questions that the pastor always asked, because I knew that would be the perfect icebreaker for me. And indeed, the pastor came through, and he asked, "Ask your neighbor." And I did, breaking the ice and starting to communicate with this girl. And eventually, I asked her on a first date. Eager to please this girl, on an average campus student's budget, I went on to Google and searched places to go on a date in Nairobi on a budget. To no avail. I did not find any place that suited this beautiful girl. She then suggested to me that we go for karaoke, and I was elated. We went on our karaoke date, and from this karaoke date, I could see how much she loved dancing, how much she loved partying, and I could see that this story, this fairy tale, was being built. She will be the Clyde, and I will be her Bonnie. We will tell this beautiful fairy tale story to all the world. It was me and her against the world. But as days turned into months, our beautiful fairy tale started to crumble. The cracks in our story began to reveal themselves. If we weren't partying, we would be fighting. Fighting because she was exposing some of my insecurities as a 20-year-old male. Insecurities around my finances, and even fighting over some ex-boyfriend drama. Not knowing any other way to love, I knew I had to people please, as I was accustomed to. And I decided that I would have to go even harder in partying in order to please this girl. And I did. On this particular day, I partied a little bit too hard, and she had to take me home. On encountering my mother, she told my mother that she had found me seated at the entrance of a mall, alone, left by my friends, and stranded. And since she did not trust Uber drivers, she decided that she would take me home by herself. I sat there devastated and angered that she had betrayed me. How could someone who said loved me this much betray me? The next morning, I had to face my mom in shame that she had never seen me the way that she had seen me, and also knowing that I had been betrayed. Expecting to be cajoled by my mother, she took a different path, and she told me, "Samuel," as she often called me, "I know you, and this is not you." People often fall, but the beauty in us people is in how we rise up. And I know that you will rise up. In case you were wondering, I will still love you, even if you were a thief. I broke down. I felt a huge burden that I had carried had been lifted. What I once felt, the need to constantly please people, had eventually been alleviated by just 10 simple words. I will still love you, even if you were a thief. I decided then to let go of my people pleasing and embark on a journey of authenticity. It has not been easy because that is all that I have known since my birth. But as I walked that journey, as I stumbled, like a child stumbles in their journey to learn how to walk, I got handheld by a therapist here and a fellow friend there who showed me that authentic love was truly what I should always and only aspire to.